Hi, I'm Matthew Wade, and I'm the editor of the Star Observer and a news reporter on Joy 94.9.
Hi, my name's Sarge, and I'm a movie reviewer at sargelovesfilm.com.
And I'm Michael, and I'm doing my PhD in queer representation and fan cultures.
Welcome to the talk on Bent TV. Today I thought we'd talk a little bit about, gay venues or nightclubs, in particular how some venues, and this has been going on for a long time obviously, but some venues are gender exclusive, so they might only let men in, or at least cisgender or trans men. And I thought we'd just talk a bit about how we feel about that. So I guess, Sarge, to begin with, obviously there are venues even around Melbourne, such as like the Lead, and Peel, I think, to an extent, where it's a men exclusive space. What are your thoughts on that?
Guys, I'd just like to ask you, what was the purpose, what do you believe was the purpose of setting up a gay male-only venue initially? I just want to go back to what was the purpose of it, and is that purpose still relevant in 2017?
It's a good point, because I think, and I'm obviously putting words in people's mouths, so I'm not entirely sure, but I imagine part of the impetus was obviously, especially earlier on, these kind of spaces were important for gay men to kind of connect and communicate and things like that. But obviously now that, the identities around that community are a lot more diverse and it's a lot more open, there are a lot more different kinds of events going on. Whether the validity of them is still relevant or not, I'm not sure.
So I think that to answer that question, I think if we go back down to the, is it relevant now because the purpose of those clubs existing years and years ago, if that purpose is irrelevant now, then I don't know, maybe not that those clubs are relevant, but we might want to reevaluate the gender-specific nature of these venues.
At the risk of throwing heavy language in there, Michael, do you think that that kind of instance, like having, men-only spaces where women aren't necessarily allowed, is, sexist, or do you think it is empowering for gay men?
It's have to be one or the other.
No, it doesn't. And it's not black and white. I'm just curious. Yeah, whatever.
Well, I think it's a good point that you raise of whether the original kind of intent of creating these spaces specifically for gay, it's usually, when we're talking about it, it's usually gay male venues.
Yes.
I think the purpose was to create a safe space for gay men where they can, dance and kiss and have sex and do all of those things and feel like they're not going to be attacked, literally, attacked. And is that still relevant now? I think not to the same degree, obviously.
Well, I guess how many people in the circle have recently been to a heterosexual venue and been able to hold their partner's hand and engage in behaviour that will be only seen in a gay male venue? Because I think that will be the test. If I can still go to a straight club with my partner and still act the way that I would at the Peel, and nothing happens because everyone's just cool about it, then I guess that's the other side to it.
My response to that would be, when you ask, can you? I would then ask, well, what does that mean? By can, do you mean feel comfortable doing?
Feel comfortable doing, yes.
Because you think that other people are going to kick you out of the club, which does happen. Throw drinks at you, whatever it is, or just give you stares. But I think what it comes down to is, do you feel comfortable? Because I think if a lot of places in Melbourne, if I held my boyfriend's hand walking down the street, I think we'd be fine. I don't think I would be attacked in a lot of places. Do I feel comfortable doing it? Absolutely not. And I think my comfort levels is not something that should be dismissed purely because there are a lot of straight people that wouldn't attack me. Like, I know that, but it's about, my comfort level, and I can imagine that for a lot of gay men who still go to the Peel or go to these gender exclusive places, it would be the same for them as well.
Well, that's the part that I was breaking down. So I guess, I definitely do not discount the importance of the venues generally, but I think having them where, only gay men can go and, queer women aren't able to go, or trans women, or it's exclusively a men-only space. Do you guys feel like that's an important space that you would like to have? Something where you can just be around gay men and there's, it's not necessarily inclusive of the entire rainbow acronym.
If I wanted to be around gay men, I'd pick my group of friends, and that's me being around gay men. I don't know if I wanted to extend that to a whole pub. I think a good balance for that would be, how you have pubs that are not necessarily labelled, but they might have a rainbow flag outside just to say we're inclusive, so meaning anyone can just go in. So something like that might be a good balance, but I don't know. I think I struggled in this day and age with the whole movement on feminism, gender equality, to then be you know, not be seen, but to also be a gay man that goes to these male-only venues. I don't know. I sometimes feel a bit conflicted, but.
And to tie it, I guess to tie it into an age thing. I mean, for younger people that are growing up, and part of it, I feel like there's a proliferation of more queer and inclusive events and venues that are popping up. So a lot of venues that are super inclusive of, I guess, gender diversity, sexual diversity. Do you think that, I guess, the idea of having gender-exclusive spaces is something that might be outdated, or is something that was around earlier and maybe times are shifting? I mean,
I think it depends what kind of space you're trying to create. Like, is it, for gay men, is it like a sex on premises place where it's like very much sex-centric? I can imagine that having like 1/3 of like straight women there might throw that off a little bit. And I don't think it's discriminating against women. I think because women can go to many clubs and many bars. I think it's just one particular bar or venue where gay men just want to be around themselves. And to respond to your point about having like a rainbow flag on like a straight club or just a general venue where there's a lot of straight people but they're gay friendly, to me that's not the same. I know that I wouldn't feel the same level of comfort I have at a straight club just because they have like a vote yes sticker on the front compared to like being in a venue where I'm actually surrounded by gay men, where like I can see gay men kissing and holding hands and being affectionate. And if there's like half those people were straight, then to me it's a straight venue. Because if I'm not certain that a lot of that everyone there is queer in some way, then
there'll still be this level of uncomfortability.
There's this level of discomfort. Not because I'm afraid that anything's going to happen to me.
I would like to think that there's going to be, you know, bars that are not going to be labelled gay or straight at some point in the future, and it would be nice if we would start what's the word? Is it disintegrating that whole male-only venue culture? That's just my take on it.
I think that's kind of utopian, where we think of like
Probably.
where sexual identities no longer exist, and because we're all human and all of that, and I don't think that is ever going to happen. So I think, you know, it would be great if queer people never had to come out, because, you know, all sexualities were accepted equally and you never had to explicitly identify as anything because we're all human. But I think until that day comes, I think it's important that people are allowed to surround themselves with people of their community. And I think that straight people are welcome everywhere. That we can have like one venue.
It's an interesting topic, and one obviously we could talk about for a very long time. But thank you both for joining me, and thanks for joining us at the talk on Bent TV.